Good morning, Unity Spiritual Center. I am Rev Robin Volker coming to you from my chilly home office in the North Georgia mountains. I want to thank Reverend Mo for allowing me the opportunity to come and share messages with you over these last 2 weeks. And if these messages have blessed you, then perhaps I can come and visit you in person or when you reopen your campus. Today's message is Lighten Up. I'd like to begin with a little story. A little boy lived on a farm, and one day while playing, he had taken his teddy bear outside into the swing, and he had forgotten it. So that night when he went to bed and everyone had gone to sleep, he started missing his teddy bear. So he went and shook his daddy and he said, "Daddy, Daddy, I forgot my teddy bear outside and I can't go to sleep without it." The daddy, half awake, said, "Well, go get it, son." Now remember, this is in the country and farm people teach their children to be very independent very quickly. The little boy goes to the door and he opens it and he looks out. There was no moon that night, so it was a very dark night, and he could not see where the swing set was or how to get there, even though he knew the way. So he went and woke his mommy. "Mommy, Mommy, I forgot my teddy bear outside and I can't go to sleep without it, and Daddy told me to go and get it, but it's dark out there and I can't go by myself." And she said, "Yes, you can. Take this flashlight and use the light to go get Teddy." So the little boy did what Mommy said. He took the flashlight and he shined it out into the darkness, but he couldn't see where to step. So he goes back to Mommy and Daddy and he wakes them both up and he says, "I can't do this." Well, the parents, wanting to teach their son that he could do things that he thought was scary and that he didn't think that he could do, sat up in bed and said, "Son, shine the light on the first step. Take that step and then shine the light on the next step and the next step and the next step. And in just a few steps, you'll be at the swing and you'll get Teddy." So the little boy went back, tenacious as he was, and he did exactly what he was told. He shined the light on the first step and then the next step and the next step, and pretty soon he was right at the swing, grabbed his teddy, turned around and ran back into the house, locked the door, jumped into bed, and he and Teddy had a good night's sleep. Now, it was Plato who said, "We can easily forgive a child who is afraid of the dark. The real tragedy of life is when men are afraid of the light." The important lesson in today's message is for us to embrace and welcome the light of God. Have you ever looked up the meaning of light in the dictionary? Well, I did when I started writing this message, and I was a little overwhelmed. There are, according to Merriam-Webster, 16 different noun uses, 18 adjective uses, 2 adverbs, and 4 verb uses of the word light. Who knew? So today, I'd like to share 4 specific uses of the word light, and I translate those into gifts of God's light into our lives. When we lighten up, we receive the gifts of life, love, wisdom, and hope. In the beginning, God said, "Let there be light." And there was light, and God saw that the light was good. Yes, you're right. This is scripture from Genesis. And ever since God made light, the energy of light has fueled life on our planet. The Earth's ecosystem depends on the light from the sun. Plants use that sunlight to store up food in their leaves, and then animals and humans use the fuel and the food from the leaves of the plants. Spiritually, Light is a symbol of life. It's the symbol of the life that comes from our loving Creator. And just as all living things need sunlight, we need the light of God in our life. We need it in our relationships. We need it in our world. Landon Parham said, "Life isn't just about darkness or light, but rather it's about finding light within the darkness." Charles Fillmore taught a lot about light. He taught that the real source of life in our bodies is God within. And he encouraged his followers to go within every day and to release the cares of the world, to go within to that inner place, that inner sanctuary. We want to practice and follow in Charles's footsteps. We want to take time every day to center and to ground and to bring in that light of God to fuel the life in our bodies. Charles would encourage us to do that centering exercise and then to speak to the life inside every cell of our body and to call forth the intelligence of life within each cell. He wrote in Keep a True Lent, "Put your I am identity into it and affirm that the perfect body is idealized in God mind and is now made manifest in your hands, in your feet, in your heart, and in every part of your body." I believe if Charles was living today, he would tell us to invite and accept spiritual quickening of the life principle into our lives. He would remind us that the very life within us is a spiritual gift from God. And this gift in us is, we also have a responsibility to it. And that responsibility is that we are to stir up this life within us and not take it for granted and not just allow the life within us to take on whatever the culture is telling us outside of us. It was the Apostle Paul who wrote to Timothy and encouraged him in a similar way. And Paul's words are, "For this reason I remind you to fan into flame the gift of God which is in you." Fan into flame the gift of God which is within you. Doesn't this sound like Charles? And Charles would say, think intently on God as life in you. So instead of putting your focus on the latest news report and the latest COVID-19 report, put your focus on the life of God in you. And talk to this energy force that moves within your body and claim life for every cell. The second gift of light is love. Maya Angelou said, "Nothing can dim the light that shines within." Wasn't she a beautiful and inspiring spokesperson for all of humanity? We often combine the words light and love in the same phrase. We will write, "I'm sending you light and love," or "I send my light and love to the world." Again, to quote Charles, this time from his book Prosperity, he said, "It is the law of love that we have whatever we desire." It is the law of love. And when we call the divine power of love, that divine love, into action, it has dominion over all external circumstances. I want you to think about that. because we're all kind of getting a little bummed here about external circumstances. We're getting weighed down by them. We're not staying committed to our spiritual practices and our spiritual path and to our relationships and to our health and to the things that we know that are good for us. So I want to tell you there's another way today in your Lighten Up activity. Divine love has dominion over all external circumstances. Love spiritualizes our human experience and puts God in control. Isn't that a beautiful thought? That calling in the gift of love through the light of God within us, that we spiritualize all our circumstances. And when we declare love to be in charge, a flood of spiritual light descends on the situation. Now, I'm not talking about light that you can actually see. I'm talking about the invisible light that works everything out for us. Here's a little example. One night in 1935, Mayor LaGuardia of New York City showed up at night court in the poorest ward of the city. He dismissed the judge for the evening and took over the bench. One case involved an elderly woman who was caught stealing bread to feed her grandchildren. And LaGuardia said, "Now I have to give you a fine. There has to be some punishment for this act because you have admitted to it and you're guilty. So I declare $10 or 10 nights in jail." And as he said that, he took $10 out of his own wallet and threw it into gave it to the bailiff to pay her fine. And then he took his hat and he had the bailiff pass the hat through the courtroom. And he said, "And I am issuing a 50-cent fine to all of you in this room for living in a city where a person must steal bread in order to feed her grandchildren." The hat was passed around and the woman left the courtroom with her fine paid and $47.50 in her hand. Now, in case you're interested, that $10 in 1935 was worth about $190 in today's world. And the $47.50 that she walked home with was worth about $900. Receiving God's love obliges us to show love to others. And if we refuse, we will be giving evidence that we do not fully understand what Spirit has done for us. Fillmore wrote, love does not offend or take offense. Love does not offend or take offense. One of the best gifts that you can give yourself is to discover the light of God within you. And when you find that light inside of you, you get to the core of who you really are and discover that your ultimate purpose to be breathing on this planet is to be love in action. We have affirmed light as life and light as love. Now we affirm light as wisdom. We cannot become wise through the power of the intellect. Wisdom doesn't reside in the brain. Intellect lacks wisdom. Wisdom resides in the heart. That's why you see smart people do stupid things. To gain wisdom, we must have activated the power of love first. Wisdom is not found in our intellectual processing. It is found when we go into that heart space. So we have to have discovered light as love before we can discover light as wisdom. The prophet Elijah found the voice of God was not in the wind, and it was not in the earthquake or the fire, but it was in the still small voice within. The light of wisdom will guide us through troubled times and challenges. How often do we seek a wise person's counsel when we're feeling stuck with an issue. I hope that instead of just spinning your wheels around and around, that you actually seek out a person who's connected to their light as wisdom. Ecclesiastes chapter 2 says, "When I saw that wisdom excels folly, as light excels darkness. The wise have eyes in their head, but fools walk in darkness." It might be that the ancient Hebrews thought of light and the illumination of the world as synonymous. It's possible that in all of their references to light, and there's quite a few, that they were encouraging their people to see the light that they could see as emanating from God. And this could be the parallel that we see in the New Testament when Jesus declared that he was the light of the world, and that we too were the light of the world. An old woman had a tattered bag which she held close to her. She kept with her all the time. And in that tattered bag, she discovered something one day. She discovered her dream. She pulled out her dream, and it was all dusty and dirty. But that still small voice within her told her to shine it up. So as she started to shine it, a bit of reflection came out. Now the dream was still really dirty, and the woman couldn't see clearly in the reflection. But that little voice inside of her told her to keep shining. So she did. Every day she worked on that dream a little bit at a time. Now some days she got really discouraged and weary and wondered if she should just throw that old dream away. Maybe it wasn't worth it. But something inside of her told her to keep shining the dream, and that she would find her answers. So she kept shining and shining and shining. And it took her a good long while, and it took quite a bit of effort, because that dream had been neglected for so long. But one day, the part of the dream that was reflecting back to her became clear. And when she looked at the dream, she saw everything that was important to her. And she saw the woman who was holding the dream. And the woman was strong and capable and very courageous. What was the woman holding? You may have figured it out. It was a mirror. Edith Wharton said there are two ways of spreading light: to be the candle or to be the mirror that reflects it. What does your mirror say to you today? Does your mirror need cleaning? Can you see the reflection of your dream and who you are in that mirror? Can you see that you are a point of light? You can go further than you ever thought, because the light of wisdom is within you. You're here on a mission. Strive for the illumination of that wisdom, and you will know what is yours to do. It is said that excellence in the human being is this: caring more than others think is wise, risking more than others think is safe, and dreaming more than others think is practical, and expecting more than others think is possible. The fourth gift of the light of God is hope. Light also communicates levity and joy. You've heard the saying, angels can fly because they take themselves lightly. A light heart is wise. It's not held down by heavy emotion and thoughts of doom or despondency. The person who is light in nature laughs easily and takes life as it comes. She doesn't dwell on life's downturns with a heavy heart, and he bounces back with resilience. Hope is an optimistic attitude of mind based on an expectation or desire. Hope is an optimistic attitude of mind based on an expectation or desire. It was Oprah who said, you have to find that spark, what sparks a light in you, so that you, in your own way, can illuminate the world. An artist drew a picture of a snow scene in black and white. It was a cloudy day and there were no leaves on the trees. The homes in the background were dark and gray and dreary. The clouds were in the sky and it was very wintry. And then with a stroke of his brush, the artist added a little bit of yellow paint in one of the panes in the windows of one house. And this showed the light from within the home shining out into the painted picture. And in that moment, the whole painting was transformed. It was no longer gray and bleak. It had hope. The birth of spirituality is such a light into a world that sometimes sees nothing but grays and blacks. So often our lives become clouded. So often our lives no longer see the magic and wonder that a child's eyes can see. So often we get old and too fearful and we abandon hope. We've become mature and we know the harmful ways of the world and we buy into that. And it causes us to withhold our light. Yet every day that we let the light of hope in is a day of transformation. Every day we can switch from despair to possibility. If we will allow it, we can flip the switch. We can flip the switch and accept the gift of hope from the light of God within us. Today's message is that no matter what is going on in your life presently, light is there. God is there. You can look beyond your present challenges and know that God is eternally with you, and allow that to birth joy in your heart. You don't have to walk around depressed and half asleep and full of dread. You can lighten up. Your spiritual journey is allowing that life, light, wisdom, and hope to shine from within you. Let your light so shine before humans that they may see your good works and glorify your God which is in heaven. Your light is like the light of that little boy's flashlight. It shines out a certain distance, and you step into the light that you can see. Many years ago, a friend gave me a refrigerator magnet for my birthday, and it read, "Every little candle is one more way you light up the world." make a pledge with me today to lighten up and shine the light of God into your own life and accept the gift of life and love and wisdom and hope for yourself and for your world. Let's pause for meditation and reflection. Finding that center within you, becoming still and calm. If you are where you can sit quietly, close your eyes. Do not do this meditation if you are driving or operating machinery. And we just begin in this calm and still place. We see within our minds a tiny ball of golden light. And as you look at this little light and examine it, it appears to be only in your mind. The invitation is to be calm and quiet and still, and to focus on that little ball of golden light. Just breathe and relax. And now your awareness of the light grows brighter and larger until you realize the light is not only within you, but you are also in the light. This is the light of spirit. Affirm with me now, I am now living, moving and having my being within the light of spirit. Again, I am now living, moving and having my being within the light of spirit. I am in the light, and the light is within me. Feel your breath. Allow your body to relax more. All cares and concerns have been transformed. All circumstances have been illuminated. All truths have been revealed. Within this light of spirit, life, love, wisdom, and hope come forth. These gifts are available to you now. Whatever you need in your life, the remedy is here now. Whatever you need, the remedy is here now. Let's rest together in a moment of silence. Allowing these truths to percolate deep into our consciousness. Through the power of the spoken word, we now decree the light of God is within us. You let go and become aware of God's Spirit within you. You are inspired and guided to your good. You are filled with the power of God. You have new energy and new vitality to meet your good when it comes. Inspired by God, you are able to go forth with greater creativity than ever before. You are guided every moment of the way into a new and higher path filled with joy. We pray today, knowing that this is true. We celebrate that we are filled with the presence of God, and we allow God's light to pour forth from within us, as us, into our world. Thank you, Divine Spirit, for allowing us to be your light in the world. Amen. I am Rev Robin Volker, and it was my honor and privilege to share this message with you today. Have a blessed week, and lighten up. Until next time, blessings.